The crystal chandeliers caught the light like trapped stars. Madison Cole pressed the champagne flute to her lips, the bubbles sharp against her tongue. Around her, couples swayed on the dance floor, their laughter cutting through the violin strings. She sat alone at table 12, her emerald dress clinging to curves she suddenly wished were invisible. 28 and successful, she told herself. Owner of a graphic design studio. Independent. Strong. The lies tasted worse than the champagne. You look like you're planning an escape route. Madison's head snapped up. The man standing beside her table made her breath catch. Tall, dark hair swept back, a tuxedo that looked painted on. But his eyes stopped her. Deep brown, almost black, holding something raw and hungry. I'm fine, she said, her voice betraying her. He sat down without asking. You're a terrible liar. And you're rude. Ethan Sinclair. He extended his hand. And you are? The name hit her like cold water. Ethan Sinclair. The groom's older brother. The billionaire CEO everyone whispered about. Ruthless. Brilliant. Untouchable. Madison Cole, she managed. His grip was warm, lasting a second too long. The bride's cousin. I asked around before approaching you. Her cheeks burned. Why would you do that? Because you were the only real thing in this room. His voice dropped lower. Everyone else is performing. You were just sitting there, honestly lonely. It was refreshing. Madison's throat tightened. I wasn't trying to be refreshing. I know. Something flickered in his eyes. That's what made it matter. The band shifted into a waltz. Ethan stood abruptly, extending his hand. Dance with me. What? Before you overthink it and say no. Her mind screamed warnings. He was her cousin's new brother-in-law. A billionaire. Completely wrong for her. But the champagne hummed in her blood, and his eyes held a challenge she couldn't walk away from. She placed her hand in his. On the dance floor, he pulled her close. One hand settled on her waist, burning through the fabric. They moved together like they'd done this 1,000 times before. Madison's heart hammered against her ribs. You're good at this, she said, needing to break the silence before it consumed her. My mother insisted we all learn. His breath brushed her ear, sending shivers down her spine. She said it taught discipline and grace. Did it work? I learned discipline in other ways. Grace is still debatable. She laughed, surprising herself. When was the last time she'd laughed like this? Ethan pulled her closer. She could feel the solid warmth of his chest against hers. His thumb traced a circle on her lower back, so subtle she almost missed it. Can I tell you something? His voice changed. Quieter. Almost vulnerable. Sure. I've been watching you all evening. Even before I came over. Madison pulled back to look at his face. Why? Because you looked like the only real person here. His eyes searched hers. Do you know what it's like to be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone? Yes, she whispered. Every single day. Something shifted between them. An understanding that went beyond words. The music swelled, and Madison realized she was dangerously close to falling for a man she'd known for less than an hour. When the song ended, Ethan didn't let go. They stood there, still swaying, until someone bumped into them. I need air, Madison said suddenly, stepping back. It's too hot. I'll come with you. No. I just need a minute alone. She turned and walked quickly toward the terrace doors, her heels clicking against marble. Outside, the night air hit her like a slap. She gripped the stone railing, breathing deeply. What was she doing? Running away already? Ethan's voice came from behind her. I said I needed to be alone. And I thought I'd ignore that. He came to stand beside her. Madison, look at me. She did. In the moonlight, he looked different. Softer. The hard CEO edges smoothed away. I'm drunk, she said. That's the only explanation. You've had 3 glasses over 2 hours. You're not drunk. You're scared. Of what? Of this. He gestured between them. Of feeling something real with a stranger. Madison wanted to deny it, but the words wouldn't come. He was right. She was terrified. I don't do this, she said quietly. I don't meet men at weddings and feel like the world has tilted. Neither do I. Ethan stepped closer. But I haven't felt this interested in anyone in years. Maybe ever. So I'm asking, can I see you again? Madison's mind screamed at her to say no. To be smart. To protect herself. One date, she heard herself say. Just one. Ethan's smile transformed his face. I can work with that. He pulled out his phone. Give me your number. She recited it. A second later, her phone buzzed. Now you have mine, he said. In case you need to talk. I won't change my mind. The words were out before she could stop them. But they were true. Ethan reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered against her cheek. You're dangerous, Madison Cole. Why? Because you make me want things I've convinced myself I don't need. Before she could respond, voices erupted inside. Jessica and James were cutting the cake, surrounded by cheering guests. We should go back, Madison said. Ethan nodded. But as they walked toward the doors, he caught her hand, intertwining their fingers. That simple gesture made her heart race all over again. The rest of the reception blurred. Madison found herself constantly aware of Ethan's presence. Even across the room, she'd catch him watching her, his gaze intense and unwavering. Every time their eyes met, electricity sparked. When it was finally time to leave, Ethan walked her to her car. The parking lot was mostly empty, her silver Honda looking shabby next to the luxury vehicles. This is me, she said. He looked at the car, then at her. You sure you're okay to drive? I'm fine. The champagne wore off an hour ago. Good. He stepped closer, backing her against the car door. Because I need you to remember this clearly. Remember what? Instead of answering, Ethan leaned down and kissed her. The world stopped. His lips were warm, firm, tasting like champagne and something darker. Madison's hands found his shoulders, gripping the expensive fabric of his tuxedo. The kiss deepened, and she felt herself melting against him, all her careful control dissolving. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ethan rested his forehead against hers. I'll call you tomorrow, he said roughly. Okay. Promise me you won't talk yourself out of this tonight. I promise. One more kiss, quick and sweet, and then he stepped back. Madison climbed into her car, her hands shaking as she started the engine. As she drove away, she watched him in the rearview mirror, standing in the parking lot, hands in his pockets, watching her go. She was in so much trouble. Ethan called at exactly 9 the next morning. Madison was still in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the kiss. When her phone buzzed, she grabbed it so fast she nearly dropped it. Hello? Good morning. His voice was rough, intimate. Did you sleep? Not really. She sat up, pulling the blanket around her. You? No. I kept thinking about you in that green dress. Heat flooded her cheeks. Ethan. Have dinner with me tonight. I know a place. Tonight? That's fast. I don't believe in wasting time. A pause. Unless you need more time to think. No, she said quickly. Tonight works. I'll pick you up at 7. Text me your address. After they hung up, Madison sat there, phone pressed to her chest, heart racing. This was insane. She barely knew him. But God, she wanted to. The day crawled by. She tried to work on a logo redesign for a startup client, but her mind kept drifting. Finally, at 5, she gave up and started getting ready. By 6:45, she'd changed outfits 4 times. She settled on a black dress, simple but elegant, with her hair down in soft waves. Natural makeup. She wanted to look like herself, not some polished version. At exactly 7, her doorbell rang. Ethan stood in her doorway wearing dark jeans and a black button-down, sleeves rolled to his elbows. He looked more devastating in casual clothes than he had in the tuxedo. "Hi," she said stupidly. His eyes traveled over her slowly. "You're beautiful. You clean up nice yourself." He smiled. "Ready?" In the car, an expensive black sedan Madison couldn't identify, the silence felt charged. Ethan's hand rested on the gear shift, close enough to hers that she could feel the heat radiating from his skin. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere private." "I hope that's okay." Warning bells should have rung. Instead, Madison just nodded. "Okay." They drove out of the city, into the hills where mansions perched on cliffs like crowns. Finally, Ethan pulled through iron gates that opened automatically. The driveway wound through manicured gardens before revealing a modern glass house that seemed to float above the city lights. Madison's stomach dropped. "This is your house?" "Yes." Ethan parked and turned to her. "I wanted somewhere we could actually talk. Without interruptions or cameras or people recognizing me. But if you're uncomfortable, we can go somewhere public." She should say yes. She should insist on a restaurant, somewhere safe. Instead, she heard herself say, "It's fine." Inside, the house was all clean lines and floor-to-ceiling windows. The view was breathtaking, the entire city spread out below them like a carpet of lights. "Wine?" Ethan asked. "Please." He poured 2 glasses of red, something that probably cost more than her monthly rent. They stood at the windows, sipping in silence. "Can I ask you something?" Madison finally said. "Anything." "Why me?" "You could have anyone. Models, actresses, women who actually belong in your world." Ethan set down his glass. "Do you want the truth?" "Always. Because when I looked at you last night, I saw someone who understood what it's like to be lonely in a crowded room." He stepped closer. "I've spent the last 10 years building an empire. I've sacrificed relationships, friendships, any semblance of a normal life. And for what? Money? Power? Success that feels hollow the second I achieve it?" His honesty shocked her. This wasn't the ruthless CEO the media portrayed. "I'm not the answer to your loneliness, Ethan." "Maybe not." He reached out, cupping her face. "But for the first time in years, I want to try." He kissed her then, slow and deep. Madison melted into it, her wine glass forgotten. Ethan's hand slid into her hair, tilting her head back, and she gasped against his mouth. They barely made it to the couch. Clothes disappeared in a blur of desperate hands and racing hearts. Ethan's skin was hot against hers, his body solid and real and exactly what she needed. Afterward, they lay tangled together, breathing hard. Madison's head rested on his chest, listening to his heartbeat slowly return to normal. "Stay tonight," Ethan said quietly. "Please." She should go home. This was moving too fast. But she nodded against his chest. "Okay." They moved to his bedroom, a massive space with a bed that faced the windows. They made love again, slower this time, learning each other's bodies with deliberate care. In the quiet darkness after, Madison felt something shift inside her. This wasn't just attraction. This was dangerous. "What are you thinking?" Ethan asked, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. "That I'm in trouble. Good trouble or bad trouble? I don't know yet." He pulled her closer. "For what it's worth, I'm in trouble too." Madison fell asleep in his arms, feeling safer than she had in years. She woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the smell of coffee. Ethan wasn't beside her. She pulled on his shirt from last night and padded out to find him. He was in the kitchen, phone pressed to his ear, his expression dark. When he saw her, something flickered across his face. Guilt? Fear? "I have to go," he said into the phone, then hung up abruptly. "Morning," Madison said cautiously. "Morning." He poured her coffee, but his movements were stiff. "Did you sleep okay?" "Yeah." She accepted the mug. "Everything all right?" "Fine. Just work." But it wasn't fine. She could feel it. The warmth from last night had evaporated, replaced by a cold distance that made her chest ache. "Ethan, what's wrong?" "Nothing. I just have meetings today. I need to get you home." The drive back was silent. Madison stared out the window, her stomach churning. Had she done something wrong? Said something in her sleep? When they reached her apartment, Ethan didn't turn off the car. "I'll call you," he said. Madison unbuckled slowly. "Will you?" His jaw tightened. "Madison. It's fine." She opened the door. "Thanks for last night." She made it inside before the tears came. Stupid. She'd been so stupid. One night, and she'd already fallen for him. And now he was pulling away, and she didn't even know why. 3 days passed. No call. No text. Nothing. Madison threw herself into work, trying to ignore the ache in her chest. She'd been a fool to think someone like Ethan Sinclair could actually want someone like her. On the 4th day, Jessica called. "Hey, stranger. How are you?" "Fine," Madison lied. "How's married life?" "Perfect. Listen, James and I are having a small dinner party Friday. Just family. Can you come?" Madison's stomach dropped. "Will Ethan be there?" A pause. "Yeah, probably." "Why? Did something happen at the wedding?" "No. Nothing. I'll come." She hung up and immediately regretted agreeing. But maybe this was good. Maybe seeing him in a neutral setting would help her get closure, move on. Friday arrived too quickly. Madison dressed carefully in jeans and a simple sweater. Casual. Like she didn't care. Jessica and James's house was beautiful, warm and welcoming. Madison arrived with wine and a forced smile. "Madison." Jessica hugged her. "I'm so glad you came. Everyone's in the living room." Madison followed her voice, then stopped dead in the doorway. Ethan was there, sitting on the couch. But he wasn't alone. A stunning blonde woman sat beside him, her hand on his arm, laughing at something he'd said. Ethan's eyes met Madison's. For a second, pure panic flashed across his face. "Madison." James stood, smiling. "Come meet everyone. This is Ethan, my brother, and his fiancée, Victoria." The world tilted. Fiancée. Victoria stood, extending a perfectly manicured hand. "It's so nice to meet you. Ethan's told me so much about the family." Madison shook her hand mechanically, her mind screaming. Fiancée. He had a fiancée. He'd had a fiancée when he kissed her, when he took her to his bed, when he whispered that he was falling for her. Nice to meet you too, Madison heard herself say. She couldn't look at Ethan. If she did, she'd shatter. The dinner was torture. Madison sat across from Ethan and Victoria, watching them play the perfect couple. Victoria talked about their upcoming wedding, about the venue they'd booked, about how excited she was to finally marry the love of her life. And Ethan said nothing. He just sat there, his expression carefully blank. Madison excused herself before dessert, claiming a headache. Jessica walked her to the door, concerned. Are you okay? You look pale. Just tired. I'll call you tomorrow. She made it to her car before the sobs came. Great, gasping sobs that tore through her chest. She'd been so stupid. So naive. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I can explain. Please let me explain. Ethan. Madison deleted it without responding. There was nothing to explain. He was engaged. He'd lied. He'd used her. And she'd fallen for every word. Another text. Madison, please. She turned off her phone and drove home, her vision blurred with tears. In her apartment, she finally let herself break. She'd given him everything after one night. Her trust, her body, pieces of her heart she didn't even know she had to give. And he'd been engaged the entire time. A knock on her door made her freeze. She knew who it was before she opened it. Ethan stood there, still in the clothes from dinner, his hair disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it. Don't, she said. Just don't. Madison, please. Let me explain. You're engaged. Her voice broke. What's there to explain? It's complicated. No. She laughed bitterly. It's actually very simple. You lied to me. You made me believe something real was happening, and the whole time you had someone waiting for you. I never lied. You said you wanted to see where this could go. You said I made you want things you'd convinced yourself you didn't need. Those were lies, Ethan. He flinched. The engagement is arranged. Our families, the business connections. It's not real. She seemed pretty real at dinner. Talking about your wedding, about marrying the love of her life. She doesn't love me. She loves what I represent. And what do I represent? Madison's voice shook. A fun distraction before you marry the woman your family picked out? No. Ethan stepped forward. You represent everything real in my life. Everything I actually want. Then why didn't you tell me? Silence. Because you knew, Madison whispered. You knew if I found out, I'd never have given you a chance. Madison. Leave. Tears streamed down her face. Please just leave. I'm going to end it with Victoria. I'll tell my family. Don't. Madison shook her head. Don't blow up your life for me. We had one night. That's all this was. You don't mean that. Yes, I do. She forced the words out. Go marry Victoria. Have your perfect billionaire life. Forget about me. I can't. You will. She stepped back. Goodbye, Ethan. She closed the door in his face and slid down against it, her whole body shaking. On the other side, she heard him say one word. Madison. Then footsteps. Walking away. She sat there in the darkness, her heart in pieces, and wondered how you survived falling in love with someone who was never really yours to begin with. 2 weeks passed like open wounds. Madison buried herself in work, taking on 3 new clients she didn't have time for. Anything to stop thinking about him. About the way his hands had felt on her skin. About the lies he'd whispered in the dark. Her phone stayed silent. Ethan didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't show up at her door again. Good. That's what she wanted. What she needed. The lie tasted bitter. On a gray Tuesday morning, Madison was in her studio, staring at a blank screen, when her phone rang. Jessica's name lit up the display. "Hey," Madison answered, trying to sound normal. "Can you come over?" Jessica's voice was strange. Tight. "Now? What's wrong? Just come. Please." 20 minutes later, Madison stood in Jessica's living room, her cousin pacing back and forth, arms wrapped around herself. "Jessica, you're scaring me." "What happened?" Jessica stopped, her eyes filled with tears. "I need to tell you something. And you're going to hate me." Madison's stomach dropped. "What?" "That night. At the wedding. When you met Ethan." Jessica's voice shook. "I knew he was engaged. James told me weeks before." The words hit like a physical blow. "What?" "I saw you two dancing. I saw the way he looked at you. And I didn't say anything." Tears spilled down Jessica's cheeks. "I should have warned you. I should have pulled you aside and told you to stay away from him. But I didn't, and now you're hurt, and it's my fault." Madison sank onto the couch, her legs suddenly weak. "You knew. I'm so sorry. You watched me fall for him." Madison's voice was hollow. "You watched me get my heart broken, and you knew the whole time it was going to happen. I thought maybe it wouldn't matter. Maybe you'd just dance and that would be it." Jessica knelt in front of her. "I didn't know he'd pursue you. I didn't know you'd sleep with him." "How do you know about that?" Jessica looked away. "Victoria called me. She found texts on Ethan's phone. From you. She wanted to know who you were." Horror washed over Madison. "Oh God. She doesn't know your family yet." "But Madison, she's threatening to destroy you. Your business, your reputation. She has lawyers. Let her." Madison stood abruptly. "I don't care." "Madison." "No." She headed for the door. "I'm done with all of this. With Ethan, with his psycho fiancé, with you for lying to me. Please don't leave like this." "Why not? That's what everyone else does." She drove home in a haze, her mind spinning. Victoria was going to destroy her. Fine. Let her try. Madison had built her business from nothing. She'd survive this too. But when she opened her email an hour later, her blood turned cold. Subject: cease and desist. The legal document was thorough. Victoria's lawyers were accusing Madison of harassment, of deliberately pursuing a relationship with an engaged man, of attempting to extort money from the Sinclair family. They demanded she stop all contact with Ethan immediately, delete all messages and photos, and sign a non-disclosure agreement. Or face a lawsuit that would bankrupt her. Madison's hands shook as she read. This was insane. She'd been the one lied to. She'd been the victim. But Victoria had money and lawyers and apparently no conscience. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Is this Madison Cole?" A woman's voice, cold and professional. "Yes. This is Ethan Sinclair. Ethan's mother." Madison's breath caught. "Mrs. Sinclair. I understand you've been having an affair with my son." "It wasn't an affair. I didn't know he was engaged." "That's not what Victoria says. She claims you knew from the beginning and pursued him anyway." "That's a lie." "Is it?" Catherine's voice was sharp. "Because from where I'm sitting, you look like an opportunist who saw a billionaire and decided to cash in. How much do you want to go away?" Rage flooded through Madison. "I don't want your money. Everyone wants money, Miss Cole. Name your price." I said no. Madison's voice shook. I don't want anything from your family. I just want to be left alone. That can be arranged. Sign the NDA and we'll consider this matter closed. And if I don't? Then Victoria's lawyers will make your life very difficult. Your business will suffer. Your reputation will be destroyed. Is one night with my son worth all that? Madison's eyes burned. It wasn't just one night. Then you're more foolish than I thought. Catherine hung up. Madison sat there, phone in hand, her whole world crumbling. She could fight this. She could hire her own lawyer, tell her side of the story. But it would cost money she didn't have, and the Sinclairs would drag it out until she had nothing left. Or she could sign the NDA, disappear, and let them win. The knock on her door made her jump. For a second, hope flared. Maybe it was Ethan. Maybe he'd finally come to fight for her. She opened the door to find Victoria standing there, perfectly composed in a white coat and red lips. You're even prettier than your photos, Victoria said coldly. Madison tried to close the door, but Victoria stuck her foot in the gap. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I have nothing to say to you. But I have plenty to say to you. Victoria pushed past her into the apartment. Nice place. Small. Probably struggling to make rent. Get out. In a minute. Victoria turned to face her. I want you to understand something. Ethan is mine. He's always been mine. Our families arranged our marriage when we were teenagers. We've built a life together, planned a future. And then you came along and almost ruined everything. I didn't know about you, Madison said through gritted teeth. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't really care. Victoria smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. What I care about is making sure you never come near him again. Done. Believe me, I have no interest in your fiancé. Good. Then you won't mind signing the NDA. I haven't decided yet. Victoria's smile widened. Let me help you decide. Sign it, and I'll make sure the lawsuit goes away. Don't sign it, and I'll destroy you. Your business, your reputation, your family. I'll make sure no one in this industry ever works with you again. You can't do that. Can't I? Victoria stepped closer. I have money, lawyers, and connections you can't even imagine. So ask yourself, is Ethan really worth losing everything you've worked for? Madison's jaw clenched. Why are you marrying him if you have to threaten women to keep him? For the first time, something flickered in Victoria's perfect facade. Pain, maybe. Or fear. Because I love him, she said simply. And sometimes love means fighting dirty. That's not love. That's possession. Call it what you want. But he's mine, and I'm not letting him go. After Victoria left, Madison sank onto her couch, her mind reeling. She could fight this. She should fight this. But she was so tired. Tired of hurting, tired of fighting, tired of caring about a man who'd chosen his perfect life over her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. I'm coming over. We need to talk. Madison stared at the message, her heart pounding. Then she typed back. Don't. There's nothing left to say. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Please. Her finger hovered over the keyboard. One word could change everything. She could let him in, hear his explanations, maybe even believe them. Or she could end this now before it destroyed her completely. She turned off her phone. The knock came anyway, 20 minutes later. Persistent. Desperate. Madison, I know you're in there. Open the door. She stayed on the couch, arms wrapped around herself, listening to him call her name. My mother called you. Victoria came here. I know they did. Madison, please. Let me explain. Silence. I broke it off with her. The engagement is over. I told my family I'm not going through with it. Madison's head snapped up. He broke it off. I know I should have done it sooner. I know I hurt you. But Madison, I'm choosing you. I'm choosing us. Please open the door. She stood slowly, walked to the door, pressed her palm against the wood. On the other side, she could hear him breathing. I can't do this, she whispered. Yes, you can. No. Her voice broke. You chose Victoria when you didn't tell me about her. You chose your family when you let them threaten me. And now you're choosing me, but for how long? Until they put more pressure on you? Until the next crisis hits? That's not fair. None of this is fair. She pressed her forehead against the door. You broke my heart, Ethan. You made me believe in something real, and then you shattered it. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. A long silence. Then, what if I could? What if I could fix all of it? How? Come away with me. Leave the city, your business, everything. We'll go somewhere they can't touch us. Start over. Madison's breath caught. Leave everything? Her studio, her clients, the life she'd built? You're asking me to give up everything I've worked for. I'm asking you to choose us. Us. She laughed bitterly. There is no us. There's you, a billionaire who can walk away from his life without consequences. And there's me, a woman who'd lose everything. I'd take care of you. I don't want to be taken care of. She yanked open the door, fury blazing through her tears. I want to be an equal. A partner. Not some kept woman you have to hide from your family. Ethan stood there, his face haggard, dark circles under his eyes. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Then tell me what you want, he said desperately. Tell me how to fix this. I want you to go back in time and tell me the truth. I want you to have chosen me from the beginning. I want this to not hurt so much. Tears streamed down her face. But you can't give me any of that. Madison. Go marry Victoria. Make your family happy. Build your empire. Just leave me alone. I can't. He stepped forward. I can't lose you. You already have. She started to close the door, but Ethan caught it, his eyes blazing. No. I'm not letting you go without a fight. You don't have a choice. Yes, I do. He pulled out his phone, tapped a few buttons, then held it up. I'm transferring you $5 million. Right now. Madison stared. What? It's enough to rebuild your business 100 times over. Enough that Victoria can't touch you. Enough that you never have to worry about money again. Are you insane? She pushed the phone away. I don't want your money. Then what do you want? The question hung between them, sharp and desperate. What did she want? She wanted him. God help her, she still wanted him. But not like this. Not bought. Not fighting his family for scraps of his attention. I want you to leave, she said quietly. And I want you to sign the NDA Victoria's lawyers sent me. Ethan's face went pale. What? Sign it. Tell them I agreed to everything. Let them think they won. Madison, no. Yes. She met his eyes. Because if you don't, they'll destroy me. And I refuse to let your family take what I've built. So sign it. End this. Let me go. I won't. Then you're choosing yourself over me. Again. The words hit their mark. Ethan flinched like she'd struck him. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Madison stepped back. Goodbye, Ethan. This time, when she closed the door, he didn't stop her. She slid down against it, pulled her knees to her chest, and finally let herself break completely. On the other side, she heard him say one word. "I'm sorry." Then footsteps. Walking away. And Madison sat there in the ruins of her almost love, knowing she'd just made the hardest choice of her life. But also knowing it was the right one. 1 month crawled by like broken glass. Madison threw herself into work with savage determination. She took every client, worked 18-hour days, barely slept. Anything to stop thinking about him. About brown eyes and broken promises. About a life she'd almost believed in. The NDA sat on her desk, unsigned. Victoria's lawyers called twice a week. Madison ignored them all. She was in her studio late on a Friday night, eyes burning from staring at the screen, when her door buzzed. She almost didn't answer. But something made her get up, made her walk to the intercom. "Yes? It's James. Can we talk?" Madison hesitated, then buzzed him in. Jessica's husband appeared in her doorway moments later, looking uncomfortable. "I'm not here to defend my brother," he said immediately. "Good. Because I'm not interested. I'm here to tell you the truth." James sat down without invitation. "About why Ethan didn't tell you he was engaged?" "I don't care." "Yes, you do. Or you wouldn't look like you haven't slept in weeks." Madison's jaw clenched. 5 minutes. The engagement was arranged 10 years ago. Ethan was 20, Victoria was 18. Our families merged their companies, and the marriage was part of the deal. James leaned forward. Ethan never wanted it. He tried to get out of it 3 times. Each time, our father threatened to destroy him. Cut him off, ruin his reputation, make sure he'd never work in tech again. So he stayed engaged. He built his own company instead. Made billions on his own terms. Thought if he was powerful enough, he could finally break free. James's eyes were sad. But power doesn't work that way. The more successful he became, the more his family had to lose if the engagement fell through. That's not my problem. No, it's not. But you should know that when Ethan met you, something changed. For the first time in his life, he actually wanted something more than success. He wanted you. Madison's throat tightened. Not enough to tell me the truth. He was scared. Scared you'd run if you knew. Scared you'd think he was using you. Scared that for once in his life, something real was happening, and he'd ruin it by being honest. So he lied instead. Yes. James stood. And now he's paying for it. He broke off the engagement 3 weeks ago. Told Victoria and our parents he wouldn't go through with it. They cut him off. Removed him from the family trust. His mother isn't speaking to him. Madison's heart lurched. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to know what he gave up. He chose you, Madison. He lost his family for you. I never asked him to do that. I know. But he did it anyway. James walked to the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I've never seen my brother care about anything the way he cares about you. And I've never seen him this destroyed. After James left, Madison sat in the silence, her mind spinning. Ethan had broken the engagement. Lost his family. All for her. And she'd told him to go away. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Meet me at the old pier. Midnight. Please. E. Madison stared at the message. She should delete it. Block him. Move on with her life. Instead, at 11:45, she found herself driving toward the waterfront. The pier stretched into darkness, waves lapping against weathered wood. Ethan stood at the end, hands in his pockets, staring out at the water. He looked thinner. Tired. Broken. "You came," he said without turning around. "I shouldn't have. But you did." He turned to face her. "That means something." Madison wrapped her arms around herself against the cold. "James told me. About the engagement, your family. I figured he might. Why didn't you tell me yourself?" "Because I didn't want you to stay out of pity." Ethan stepped closer. "I wanted you to stay because you wanted to. Because this thing between us was real, not because you felt sorry for me." "This thing?" Madison laughed bitterly. "You can't even name it." "Fine. I love you." The words came out raw, desperate. "I'm in love with you. I've been in love with you since you laughed at my dancing comment. Since you told me you were boring and watched documentaries. Since you looked at me like I was just a man, not a billionaire or a Sinclair or anything else. Just Ethan." Madison's eyes burned. "Don't." "Why not?" "It's the truth. Because I can't do this." Her voice broke. "I can't be the reason you lose your family. I can't be responsible for destroying everything you've built. The guilt would kill me." "You're not destroying anything. I made my choice. A choice you'll regret." "Never." Ethan closed the distance between them. "Madison, look at me." She did. His eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I spent 10 years building an empire I didn't want, engaged to a woman I didn't love, living a life that felt like slow death. And then I met you, and for the first time, I felt alive. Really alive." He cupped her face. "So no, I won't regret choosing you. The only thing I'll regret is letting you walk away." "Ethan." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I know I messed up. I know I should have told you about Victoria from the beginning. I know I hurt you." His thumbs wiped away her tears. "But I'm asking for another chance. One more chance to prove this is real." Madison wanted to say yes. Every cell in her body screamed to say yes. But reality crashed down on her like cold water. "What kind of life could we have?" she whispered. "Your family hates me. Victoria wants to destroy me. We'd be fighting them forever. Then we fight. I'm tired of fighting. Then let me fight for you." Ethan's voice was fierce. "Let me be the one carrying the weight. You just have to say yes." Madison closed her eyes. This was impossible. They were impossible. Two people from different worlds, surrounded by enemies, held together by one perfect night and a love that shouldn't exist. But God, she wanted it. She wanted him. "If I say yes," she said slowly, "I need you to promise me something. Anything. Promise that if this gets too hard, if the fight becomes too much, you'll tell me. You won't just disappear or pull away or try to protect me by leaving. You'll talk to me. I promise. And promise that you'll sign the NDA." Ethan pulled back. "What?" "Victoria's lawyers want me to sign it too. So we both sign. We both agree to keep this private, to not talk about what happened. It's the only way to end the legal threats." "Madison, that's like admitting we did something wrong." "I know. But it's also survival." She met his eyes. "I can't fight a legal battle against your family's lawyers. I don't have the money or the resources. So we sign it, we end it, and we start fresh. Just you and me, no lawsuits hanging over our heads." Ethan's jaw clenched. "I hate this." "I know. But do you trust me?" A long pause. "Then, yes. Then trust me when I say this is the right move." He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tight she could barely breathe. Madison buried her face in his chest, breathing him in, feeling his heart pound against her cheek. "I'm sorry," he whispered into her hair. "For everything." "I know." They stood there on the pier, wrapped in each other, while the world moved around them. In the distance, the city lights glittered. Cold. Beautiful. Indifferent to two people trying to build something real in the ruins of lies. "What happens now?" Madison finally asked. "Now we figure it out. One day at a time. Your mother is never going to accept me." "Probably not. But I don't need her to." Ethan pulled back to look at her. "I just need you to." Madison touched his face, tracing the line of his jaw. "You're asking me to choose you over safety. Over the easy path. I'm asking you to choose us. And I know it's selfish. I know it's asking too much. But Madison, I can't walk away from you. I've tried, and I can't." "Then don't." The words were out before she could stop them. "Don't walk away. Stay. Fight. Choose us." Ethan kissed her then, desperate and tender and full of everything they'd been too scared to say. Madison kissed him back, pouring every ounce of fear and love and hope into it. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ethan rested his forehead against hers. "Come home with me tonight," he said. "Which home? You got kicked out of your family's life, remember?" He laughed, the sound raw but real. "I bought a new place. Smaller. No glass walls or city views. Just a house where we could actually build a life." "You bought a house?" "Last week. The day after I broke the engagement. I needed somewhere that was just mine. Just ours." Madison's heart swelled. "Show me." They drove through the city in Ethan's car, hands linked across the console. The house was in a quiet neighborhood, tree-lined streets and old Victorian homes. Nothing like his glass palace in the hills. "It needs work," Ethan said as they pulled up. "The kitchen is ancient, and half the rooms need painting." But it felt right. Inside, the house was warm. Wooden floors, high ceilings, a fireplace in the living room. Empty, but full of potential. "What do you think?" Ethan asked nervously. Madison turned to him, this man who'd given up everything for her. Who'd bought a house for a future he wasn't even sure they'd have. Who looked at her like she was worth more than all his billions combined. "I think," she said slowly, "that we should start with the bedroom." Ethan's smile was brilliant. He swept her into his arms, carrying her up the stairs while she laughed. In the empty master bedroom, lit only by moonlight through bare windows, they made love slowly. Carefully. Like they were building something fragile and precious that might shatter if they moved too fast. Afterward, they lay tangled in blankets on the floor, no furniture yet, just them. "I'll sign the NDA tomorrow," Ethan said quietly. "And then we put all of this behind us." "And your family? They'll come around eventually. Or they won't. Either way, I have everything I need right here." Madison turned to look at him. "Are you sure? Really sure? Because once we do this, there's no going back. You're choosing me over everything you've known. I'm choosing us over everything I've never wanted." He kissed her forehead. "That's the easiest choice I've ever made." Madison closed her eyes, letting herself believe it. Letting herself hope. But somewhere in the back of her mind, a small voice whispered that nothing was ever this simple. That happiness came with a price. And soon enough, they'd find out exactly what that price was. 6 months later. Madison stood in the newly renovated kitchen, morning light streaming through windows they'd picked out together. Coffee brewed, filling the house with warmth. Behind her, she heard Ethan's footsteps on the stairs. "Morning," he said, wrapping his arms around her waist, kissing her neck. Morning. She leaned back into him. How'd you sleep? Better than I have in years. It was true. The dark circles were gone. The tension that had lived in his shoulders had melted away. He looked younger, lighter, free. They'd signed the NDAs that next day, just as Madison promised. Victoria's lawyers had backed off immediately. The legal threats evaporated. Catherine Sinclair still refused to speak to her son, but James and Jessica visited regularly. Slowly, carefully, they were building something real. Madison's business had actually grown. Turned out, leaving her small studio and working from home gave her more flexibility. More creativity. She was happier than she'd ever been. I have a meeting downtown this afternoon, Ethan said, pouring coffee. New investor for the startup I'm consulting with. Should be home by 6. I'll make dinner. He smiled. You hate cooking. I'm learning to tolerate it for you. They ate breakfast together, talking about nothing and everything. Work, plans to repaint the guest room, whether to get a dog. Ordinary conversations that felt extraordinary because they were theirs. After Ethan left, Madison settled into her home office. She had a logo redesign due by Friday, and the client was particular. She lost herself in colors and fonts, the work flowing easily. Her phone rang around 2. Unknown number. Hello? Madison Cole? A woman's voice, unfamiliar. Yes. This is Sarah Chen from Metropolitan Hospital. I'm calling about Ethan Sinclair. Madison's blood turned cold. What happened? He was in a car accident. He's in surgery now. Someone listed you as his emergency contact. The phone nearly slipped from Madison's hands. Is he okay? The doctors are doing everything they can. You should come to the hospital. Madison grabbed her keys with shaking hands. The drive to the hospital was a blur of red lights and racing thoughts. Please be okay. Please be okay. Please. She burst through the emergency room doors, found Sarah Chen at the nurse's station. I'm Madison Cole. Ethan Sinclair's girlfriend. Sarah's expression was sympathetic. He's still in surgery. It was a head-on collision. Another driver ran a red light. How bad? I can't give you details until the doctor comes out. But you should know, his family is here. Madison's stomach dropped. His family? His mother and brother arrived 20 minutes ago. They're in the surgical waiting room. Of course they were. Despite everything, Ethan was still a Sinclair. And family showed up, even when they disowned you. Madison walked to the waiting room on shaking legs. Inside, Catherine Sinclair sat ramrod straight in a plastic chair, her face pale. James paced near the window. They both looked up when Madison entered. You, Catherine said coldly. What are you doing here? I'm his emergency contact. The hospital called me. That's absurd. I'm his mother. And I'm the person he chose. Madison's voice was steady despite her terror. So I'm staying. Catherine stood. You have no right to be here. You're the reason he's alone. The reason his family abandoned him. No. Madison met her eyes. You abandoned him because he chose love over duty. That's on you. How dare you? Mrs. Sinclair. James stepped between them. This isn't helping Ethan. Catherine's face crumpled slightly. For the first time, Madison saw past the Ice Queen facade to a mother terrified of losing her son. I just want him to be okay, Catherine whispered. So do I, Madison said quietly. They sat in tense silence, the three of them, waiting. Minutes dragged into hours. Madison's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She kept replaying this morning. The way Ethan had kissed her goodbye. The smile on his face. What if that was the last time? Finally, a surgeon appeared in the doorway, still in scrubs. Family of Ethan Sinclair? They all stood. He's stable. The surgery went well. He has a concussion, broken ribs, internal bleeding that we've repaired. But he's going to recover. Madison's legs nearly gave out. James caught her arm, steadying her. Can we see him? Catherine asked. One visitor at a time. He's sedated, but you can sit with him. Catherine moved toward the door, but the surgeon held up a hand. He asked for Madison first. When he was lucid before surgery, he was very clear. Madison Cole goes in first. Catherine's face went white. I'm his mother. And he asked for Madison. The surgeon's voice was gentle but firm. Those were his wishes. Madison followed the surgeon down sterile hallways, her heart pounding. He led her to a room where Ethan lay in a hospital bed, connected to various machines. His face was bruised, a bandage wrapped around his head. But his eyes were open. Hey, he said weakly. Hey. Madison rushed to his side, taking his hand carefully. You scared me. Sorry. Some idiot ran a red light. He tried to smile, winced. Apparently I need to work on my defensive driving. Not funny. Little bit funny. His thumb stroked her hand. I'm okay. I promise. Tears spilled down Madison's cheeks. When the hospital called, I thought I'd lost you. Not a chance. Ethan's voice was rough. I've got too much to live for now. Your mom is here. She wants to see you. Something flickered in his eyes. Later. Right now, I just need you. Madison sat in the chair beside his bed, holding his hand, feeling his pulse steady and strong beneath her fingers. Outside the room, she could hear Catherine arguing with James, but she didn't care. Ethan was alive. Everything else could wait. I love you, she said softly. I love you too. He squeezed her hand. And when I get out of here, I'm asking you to marry me. Just so you know. Madison laughed through her tears. You're supposed to ask, not tell. I'm in a hospital bed. I get to do what I want. His eyes were serious now. I mean it, Madison. I want forever with you. Then ask me when you're not on pain medication. Deal. A nurse came in to check his vitals, followed eventually by Catherine. Madison stood to leave, but Ethan held tight to her hand. Stay, he said. So she did, standing beside him while Catherine approached the other side of the bed. For a long moment, mother and son just looked at each other. You could have died, Catherine finally said, her voice shaking. But I didn't. You're all I have left, Ethan. Your father is gone, your siblings are scattered. You're my only son here, and I drove you away. You gave me an ultimatum. Family or Madison? What did you expect? I expected you to choose us. Catherine's eyes filled with tears. I expected you to realize that girl wasn't worth losing everything. Don't call her that. Ethan's voice was hard despite his weakness. Her name is Madison. And she's worth more than all the Sinclair money combined. Ethan. Madison squeezed his hand. It's okay. No, it's not. He looked at his mother. I love you, Mom. But I won't apologize for choosing happiness over duty. I won't spend my life married to someone I don't love just to make you happy. And if you can't accept that, then I'm sorry, but we don't have anything else to say. Catherine stared at him, tears streaming down her face. Then she looked at Madison, really looked at her for the first time. You make him happy? Madison nodded. I try to. And he makes you happy? More than I thought possible. Catherine was silent for a long moment. Then, Slowly, she nodded. Then I suppose I have no choice but to try to accept this. She reached out, touching Ethan's face gently. But if you ever scare me like this again, I'll kill you myself. Ethan smiled. Deal. Catherine left shortly after, and James came in briefly before the nurses insisted Ethan needed rest. Finally, it was just the two of them again. You should go home, Ethan said. Get some sleep. Not a chance. I'm staying right here. Madison. You listed me as your emergency contact. That means I get to stay. She settled into the chair beside his bed. So shut up and get some rest. He smiled, closing his eyes. Within minutes, his breathing evened out into sleep. Madison sat there through the night, holding his hand, watching him breathe. And she realized something profound. This was it. This was the moment she'd been scared of, the moment when everything could have been taken away. And she'd survived it. They'd survived it. Whatever came next, whatever battles they'd have to fight, they'd face them together. 3 weeks later, Ethan came home. The house they'd built together welcomed them back with warm wood floors and sunlight through clean windows. Madison helped him up the stairs to their bedroom, where he collapsed on the bed with a groan. I'm never leaving this house again, he declared. Good. I like you here. She lay down beside him, careful of his healing ribs. They'd barely touched since the accident, and she'd missed the simple intimacy of lying next to him. Hey, Madison. Yeah? I meant what I said in the hospital. About asking you to marry me. Her heart stuttered. Ethan. I know it's fast. I know we've only been together 6 months. But I also know that I don't want to waste another day not being committed to you completely. He rolled onto his side, wincing slightly. So, Madison Cole, will you marry me? You don't even have a ring. Ring's in the nightstand. I bought it 2 months ago. Madison stared at him. You've had a ring for 2 months. I was waiting for the right moment. Then I almost died and realized there's no such thing as the right moment. There's just now. He reached over, opening the drawer, pulling out a small velvet box. The ring inside was perfect. Simple, elegant, with a single diamond that caught the light. Nothing ostentatious. Just beautiful. Ethan, she whispered. Is that a yes? Madison looked at this man who'd given up everything for her. Who'd chosen love over duty, happiness over obligation. Who'd made her believe in fairy tales even after they'd been shattered. Yes, she said. Yes, I'll marry you. He slipped the ring on her finger, then pulled her close, kissing her with all the love and promise of forever. Outside, the world kept turning. Ethan Sinclair would slowly learn to accept their relationship. Victoria would move on, finding someone who actually loved her. Jessica and James would stand beside them at their small, intimate wedding 6 months later. But in that moment, lying in bed in the house they'd built together, Ethan and Madison didn't think about any of that. They just held each other, two broken people who'd found wholeness in the most unexpected place. I love you, Ethan whispered. I love you too, Madison replied. And for the first time in their lives, love was enough. The end.